Derek Rydall is who I'm about ready to bring on. And I know this was a big surprise. Some of you don't even know this is coming. Let's pop up his slide. Derek is the best-selling author of the book Emergence.
Audio Jungle.
He wrote a book about the 7 steps to making a radical life change. And I know that that's what some of you are doing. You're in the middle of that by starting these businesses. His brand new book, The Abundance Project, is about 40 days to more wealth, love, and happiness. Derek has trained top executive from Fortune 500 companies in empowered leadership. He works with and has coached Oscar and Emmy-winning celebrities and media professionals. He has a podcast called the Emergence podcast. Derek has a global platform that has touched hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. Derek and I have been growing our multi-7-figure businesses alongside each other. We reach out to each other for advice and support all the time. Derek, let's bring you on with a big wahoo. Ready, everybody? 1, 2, 3. Ow, ow, ow! Oh, sweetie, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. This looks amazing what you're doing, and it doesn't surprise me that you're always taking things to the next level. You've always been a trailblazer and a badass, powerful woman, warrior. You've been one of my, as you just said, one of my confidants and shoulders to cry on. And it's just so beautiful to see what an amazing impact you're making in the world. It actually brings tears to my eyes to see all the faces of these women on the screen and to have had the pleasure to connect with a lot of women that are in your community. And wow, what a difference it's making. I mean, I knew it was making a difference in my life, but I've seen and heard the profound difference you're making in the lives of so many other individuals, women, men, but especially this amazing community of women. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but you know what I mean when I say I'm so proud of you. And I'm so honored to be your friend and your brother, and to be here today to be part of one of the most important and critical times in modern history. So I love you.
I love you.
Let's rock and roll.
You're going to make me sob. Oh my gosh, Derek, I just had lunch with like almost 50 of our new clients, and I'm just over here. You know, we've had some rolling power outages in Santa Cruz because of the fires, and, you know, to have 500 women standing by and some technology, you know, fritzing out. It's just, you know, the time of being a leader is no joke.
It's no joke, kids. It is no joke.
We keep rising and we keep walking through it, and hearing your words is just another reminder of why we're all doing this. And thank you for being behind me. And I want to put a stake in the ground for every single one of you who is creating alliances like the one I have with Megan and Deborah and Serena and Reverend Deborah, and the alliance I have with Derek. These alliances have helped all of us grow our businesses. And you know, like you said, we're ushering in a new consciousness. This is new, and I've watched you rise in the face of great loss over the last year. I don't know if you want to speak into that, but Derek, like,
I can speak to anything. If you don't mind me crying a little, but I'll speak to about anything. I'm an open book.
We've been crying all day, and the women have their hands up just in reverence for you, but you know, women here who are here on the screen, they've lost their homes. We have women that have lost their homes. We have women who have evacuated. We have women whose family members have died to COVID. And we're starting businesses in the middle of this important, critical moment in history. So I would just love to hear a little bit about what you've been through in the last year, and what your words of encouragement are for these sisters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I saw all of this coming months before it actually occurred. It was the first time in my life I actually felt the energy of prophecy. And we heard about this little thing in China, and I'm like, guys, there's a big thing coming. Oh, you're being, you know, like, no, you need to buckle down and buckle up and prepare for a ride. Things are going to get really, really intense and interesting. Our whole way of life is going to, I mean, I could see it all coming. And so but instead of it scaring me, because of all the work that I've done and do, just like you and like so many of these women, I was preparing myself, and I felt more on purpose than I've ever felt in my life, because I could the more you get connected to serving a purpose rather than merely trying to survive, or, we're not really here to save the world or save anyone or anything. We're here to serve what's emerging, and what's emerging in us primarily as a thought leader or an influencer or a change maker. We have brought something very specific, and what's in the way actually is the way. What's the obstacles that are arising in our life, just like, to speak of forest fires, that many creatures and many of the trees and plants need the fire. Like the jack pine, it cracks open the seed pods that are so tightly glued that only a fire will release the progeny and clear the floor and open the canopy and allow for new life and evolution to happen. And if those trees could do what, a lot of us have been taught, like, visualize there's never a fire in my forest, right? Visualize there's never a problem. And if they succeeded, that species would go extinct. But the forest fire comes through and does its work, cracks us open to the deeper potential. And when things are burning up and burning down and cracking open and falling apart, like the acorn, it doesn't surrender to the problem, to the mess. It surrenders to the oak tree. The caterpillar doesn't surrender to, I'm dying. It surrenders to the butterfly. And what's happening right now in our life, and when I saw this coming, I knew that was going on. I had no idea just how intense it was going to get for me personally, because what ended up happening was that my 25-year-old son died. And, it's something that on a soul level, I had always feared. Like on a soul level, I knew it was going to be part of my initiation, but at a human level, I could never even begin to touch that. But my prayer and all the work that I've been doing and what I wanted to become, the instrument of love and service and the proof that nothing can take us down when we're connected to love, connected to the truth, connected to the source, whatever your idea of God or the divine is, that there really is a power and a love and a truth that is bigger than any problem that we can face, that the potential within us is always greater than the obstacles or the problems that we're facing. And I knew that, and I taught that, and I prayed to be that. And as you can imagine, this gave me the ultimate opportunity to practice that. And I won't deny it. I was on the floor for a long time, and I didn't want to be here, the human part of me. But I'll tell you, the minute I heard the news, because of my deep work, I dropped into prayer, and I even dropped into gratitude, and I blessed it all, and I affirmed, and I declared all of this was going to be in service of more love and more truth and more light and more power and God or love's highest vision on earth like never before. And even though it was a terrible, terrible, tragic, painful time, and I'm not done with it, the depths of love and compassion and wisdom and understanding and soul stamina and deep, deep resilience that has emerged in me as a result, and my ability to hold others in their pain and their challenges, and my ability to not let them be victims. Doesn't mean you don't feel all your feelings, but to not let it take you out of the game, but to let it, bring you even more deeply into your destiny. That all of that has been taken to a new level. And I'm not alone. As you said, all of us are suffering in different ways. And I'll even say, breaking news, waking up for a lot of people, the world has been suffering a long time before this. Many people have been dying and sick and broken and struggling. And for a lot of us, we're just beginning to experience what so many of the world's population experiences every day. And guess what? Even after COVID, they'll still be experiencing it unless we decide to be the change, unless we don't forget the love and the compassion and the vulnerability and the humility that this time is teaching us all. Mother Nature sent us all to our room and said, you better think about what you've been doing, kid. And it's like, well, I'm not letting you out until you get this, you know. And we just were like in there playing Nintendo and eating frozen pizza. And she's like, nope, you got to go a little deeper here, my kid. So yeah, so that's just as a, I don't know how brief that was, but that's where I'm at. And I am again on fire with the spirit and with love and purpose and my relationship to my son, the love. Oh, I mean, we could just talk about what I've discovered in terms of how much bigger love is and life is when we are willing to step out of our stories about life and our stories about ourselves and our stories about what things should or shouldn't be behind our story, like a film strip moving through across the camera. All there is the light that shines through that. And it's a love and it's a light. I mean, it's already here. Heaven is here. The bliss, the joy, the love, the wealth, the health, the harmony is here. Right?
I see these women nodding. They're making hearts with their hands. The comment thread continues to blow up. Mother
Yeah.
Nature sent us to our room. Love and strength. Yes, yes, yes. It's all love. And Derek,
Yeah.
you know, you gave me one of the most important talking tos when I went through my divorce. Most painful time in my life. I felt my marriage had gotten ripped away from me. And you were somebody who penetrated the grief. And it was like you reached your hand inside the darkness and you helped me understand that there was something bigger happening. And Derek, you gave me one of the most beautiful acknowledgments when you first came on the screen. And I want to give a little bit back to you because I want to bow down before you energetically right now. And I want to say to you, in the last year, you've lived through something a father on some level shouldn't have to live through, right? No father should have to outlive his son. But what I've seen you do and who I've seen you be is a leader to the planet because so many men would have crawled in their hole and felt sorry for themselves. But you made poetry. And every time I went on your Facebook page, there was another poem. There was another gift for humanity about the possibility of heartbreak, the most devastating heartbreak, opening us up to the bigger channel that is meant to be flowing through us in service to others. We've been talking about Mother Teresa today and how she reminded us that if we don't have peace, it's because we forgot we belong to each other. Derek, my soul brother, you have given your heart and your soul to your community. You have an online community of followers who revere you and you give them hope every day because of who you've been over the last year. You didn't keep that to yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about
I feel, I guess I gotta pause you. I feel like you did an Oprah moment on me, Sage. You got me, I'm like doing everything I can to not just weep on your virtual shoulder right now. Thank you, sister. I love you. Thank you for seeing me.
this is what this is about. And for the
Yeah.
400 or so women that are still here, they're walking through their own heartbreak and they're making a
Yes.
commitment right now to themselves to not let
Yes.
the circumstances be greater than their commitment to serve.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you,
And to remember that your pain and your problems carry the seed to your legendary purpose. That the workshop you've been living and are living is the one you're most deeply here to be giving. Nothing is extra. Your life is not a piece of IKEA furniture where you put it all together and realize there's extra pieces only to have it fall on your foot 3 weeks later. Everything serves. Everything is a part of it. All of life is conspiring to set you free and to prepare you to be the individual and bring your unique fruit to the ecosystem of humanity that you were born for. That I'm telling you what I know for sure.
this is for sure because the world doesn't want more leaders who are just saying, oh, it's going to be rainbow and butterflies. I can help you make $1 million tomorrow. I can help you
Yeah.
have spiritual liberation tomorrow if you just do these
Yeah.
3 quick and easy, simple things and take this pill. The world
Yeah.
doesn't want that. And so, Derek, you've been a leader who brings both the light and the dark ever since I've known you. And if those of you who are here, if you have darkness in your life right now, know that that is actually necessary for you to be the humble leader that you're being called to be, to access all keys on the keyboard. And Derek,
Yes.
can you talk a little bit more about what your definition of thought leadership is, and how do we continue to work with this inside ourselves when the women here are so committed to changing the way business is done, to changing the way
Yes.
health is done, to changing the way
Yes.
relationships are done, right?
Yes.
To shifting
Yes.
the divorce rate. That's what's
Yes.
happening in this conversation over the last 3 days. How do we reconcile that when, 1 minute we're cleaning the toilet and the next minute we're dealing with our child who's at home, and the next
Yes.
minute we're like, oh yeah, now I have to make my video about the influential statement that I'm supposed to make, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, like today I had to actually put a shirt on and comb my hair. I mean, sometimes we have to, still show up. Um, yeah, there's so much in that. I mean, the first thing is we have to remember that to be a thought leader, a true thought leader, or a true change maker or influencer, like a Mother Teresa or a Gandhi or a Buddha or Jesus or Martin Luther King Jr. or whatever is your path. It begins and ends primarily with being the thought leader of your own life, being a truth teller in your own life, having the courage to see the truth, to live the truth, to speak the truth, first to yourself. Believe me, that's hard sometimes. And then to those closest to you, and wherever your circle of influence is, to have the courage to live your deepest and most authentic truth, no matter the cost. And and that's what Jesus meant when he said, if you try to save your life, you'll lose it. But if you're willing to lose your life for my sake, meaning this highest potential, you'll have it eternally. That we have to have the courage. And what happens is that we are inspired. We have a moment of love in a relationship, or a brilliant idea for a business, or a revelation as a spiritual teacher. And if you look through history, what happens with that pure truth is it becomes commoditized, industrialized, and we end up with an industrialized religious complex, medical industrialized complex, a political industrialized complex, et cetera, et cetera. And even in our relationships, what happens is, instead of serving the truth in us, that original spark that is continuing to unfold, we serve the form that it's taken. We start to worship the structures and the edifices, the business, the church, the government, the relationship, instead of serving the truth in our hearts, the love, the life force in our hearts. And little by little, we lose contact with that, and we start to stagnate, and we start to produce what is already done, what's already happened. We get caught up in the status quo, and then we're always trying to keep up with the Joneses. And it's perfect for this group of women, and it's perfect for this time where we are in the time of the rise of feminine power. But most people don't talk about what is feminine power. The divine feminine is the power. The divine feminine is life force itself. And the proper priority is the masculine serves the feminine. Now, I don't just mean men serve women. I mean the masculine forms and structures and strategies and to-dos, and all of that is in service to the feminine, to life, to that which is always giving birth to itself. The masculine is here to hold the feminine, to create a safe container for her to blossom, and to let her be free, but to support it so that it is sustainable. Not to repress it, not to control it, but to hold it and support it so that it can grow and thrive and stretch and open its wings and give birth to more life. But what happens, and this is important, as we are in a relationship or in a business or whatever, is we start to lose contact with that gave birth to it, that energy. And we get too much into the masculine and too much serving the structures and the strategies and the business. And then what happens is we end up being like so many other things out there, not like you, Sage, but like so many other things out there in the expert space, where it's like a bunch of beautiful cars coming off a conveyor belt with no engine inside. Or it's like a bunch of beautiful gift wrapped boxes with no presence. inside. And what people are buying and what people are hungering for, and the only gift we have to give another is our presence, is that unique way life is birthing in us, that unique truth or expression of truth. And I will just say that the greatest thought leaders, change makers, and influencers in any arena are those, and really just the greatest individuals are those that make a sacred vow to honor the truth in them, to be that midwife for what wants to be born in them, and to have the courage to speak it and to do the work to become strong enough to hold it, and to never, or at least as a commitment, I'm not saying we don't fall down, but to not serve what the form of things are, because tomorrow it may need to change, and you may need to change, and the industry changes, and the world is changing. And if you continue to serve it, you will always be a fresh place for real leadership, because you'll be living on that edge, on that evolutionary edge of your own thought, of your own deep understanding. And you'll perfectly become like a homing beacon to those individuals that have already been assigned as your portion, as those you're meant to serve. It's all part of an ecosystem.
I love that you're using the word ecosystem. We've been using the word ecosystem for the last 2.5 days. I laid it down on day one, Derek. I said, no longer are we just a community. We're the Women Rocking Business ecosystem, because we have this whole planet around us. And one of the things you said that gave me goosebumps that I really want to underline for all the women here is that we're watching gender dissolve, right? We're watching ourselves become more feminine and more masculine than our ancestors ever had access to. We are their answered prayers. And so for every single one of you building a business, your feminine creative flow is the vision. That's the vision we've been talking about all 3 days. And the systems and the structures that are going to help your vision become a reality, that's the masculine in you. And what I've loved about understanding my business in this way, Derek, is my business is in service to my creative flow. I am not building my business every day. I am not doing my business. I am doing sage. I am just doing being me. And the more systems and structures I put in place, the more I can rest as if I were crawling into the big arms of an oak tree, right? That little acorn birthed years ago. And my business holds me. And my business holds me when I need to take time off. And when we understand business when we understand business this way, hustle doesn't have to feel like hustle. It doesn't have to feel negative. It can feel like a beautiful dance, right?
Yes.
And Derek, I think one of the things I've seen you do so well, I think one of the last question I really have for you is, you have brought together this concept of being an entrepreneur with living your highest purpose on the planet. And, we're toggling back and forth, right? We're going to make sure Derek's unmuted. We're toggling back and forth between what should I put on my website? And all of a sudden, I'm with a client. I'm channeling for a client. And the next moment, how do I make this thing work with my opt-in page and my autoresponder? And the next moment, we're like, okay, now I'm channeling the divine for the people I'm reaching, right? And so, can you give these women, from the divine masculine perspective? I can speak from the feminine, but from the divine masculine, can you continue to just share a last piece of wisdom with us around really aligning our business with our higher sense of purpose?
Well, I think it starts with what we're saying, and what you so beautifully articulated is remembering why you're creating a business. You're not creating a business merely to get something from the world, or merely to protect you, or merely to, be busy or do a lot of stuff, or even merely just to have a lifestyle. You're creating a business as a structure that supports and allows the full expression, the full birth, the full thriving, the full giving of your greatest gift, which is in turn the way you become most alive. That's what it's there to serve. So if it's preventing you from giving your gift, preventing you from coming alive, preventing you from thriving, it's flipped. And you've started serving something outside of you, giving your power away, and you stopped serving that divine feminine, that divine life force and source within you. Now, we go back and forth, we stumble, we make mistakes, we have to pay bills. But if we remember constantly and as a practice keep coming back to that, that becomes a new subjective habit, a new mindset, a new focus. And then also remember, when you're designing your calendar and your structures, your schedule is not there. We don't have schedules so we can cram as much as possible into our life. We have schedules so we can organize what matters most. So we can prioritize what brings us the greatest sense of depth, joy, purpose, meaning, allows us for our greatest expression. That's why we're organizing our calendar. That's why and how we're organizing our business. Now, again, I'm speaking in an absolute principle, and it's hard to do because we've been conditioned in so many ways to put our power outside of us, to say that something outside has to change in order for me to honor myself. I need to have more time, more money, more support. But that's actually not true. We have to start with honoring ourselves. We have to flip that script constantly back to, what am I here to really serve? Okay, today, if I was fully serving the divine feminine in me, the truth in me, that really wants to be born, how would I show up today? How would I show up for myself today? How would I show up in this relationship today? And we just keep coming back, and you'll become masters at that. And many of you already are, like Sage. And with Sage at the helm, she'll make sure you're masters of it. I can tell you that for sure. She won't let you forget what really matters most. And so she'll make sure you keep remembering what you're giving birth to, and that you're really giving birth to yourself. That at the end of the day, the end of the year, and the end of a lifetime, it's not about how many possessions you have. It's about how much greater possession you have of yourself and how much greater expression of yourself. Your soul's goal is not about attaining anything. It's about the full expression of what's already in you. You came with everything. So you're creating a business and a structure and a practice so that all that's already in you, like it's already in that seed, right? The gardener creates the structures, cultivates the soil, not to put something in the seed, not to attract something to the seed, but so that everything already in the seed can emerge. And that's what you're designing a business for. That's what you're designing your whole life for. And Sage is one of the masters of that on the planet. So it's great that you're playing with her. But that's what I have to say. And I want to also just remind you, it's hard. If anybody tells you this is easy, it's going to happen in 7 days or even 7 weeks, they're lying to you, or they're just ignorant. It doesn't mean lots can't happen overnight. You can have a breakthrough, especially because you've done so much work. It also doesn't mean lots can't happen over the next few weeks. It absolutely can. But it's just important to know, actualizing your potential and living your purpose is difficult. And that's okay, because you were designed to do difficult. Like the forest fire, it makes you stronger. It makes you, it's like the chicken and the egg. It has to peck around and it's out of food and everything, but it strengthens its lungs and strengthens its wings and strengthens its neck. So it cracks open into a larger world. Everything is working for your good. And when you embrace the pain, just like the seed goes down into the dark soil, it embraces the darkness and transmutes that into new light and new life. And the deeper the roots, the taller the shoots, and the richer the fruits. So I want to create a realistic perspective, and I know that's what Sage is doing. And also remember that what's facing you is nothing compared to what it's facing. So when those problems are facing you, don't tell those, it's like, don't tell your little God about your big problems, tell those little problems about your big God. Or, you tell those problems what they're facing, because they're facing a goddess, a high priestess, a warrior, a spiritual badass. They're facing the fullness of life and love and truth itself. So I hope that inspires you guys, and it's just such
Derek,
an honor.
I don't quite know how I got so blessed as to have you as my friend and colleague, but I'm here to tell you that your words are landing on very appreciative and grateful ears. Derek, on behalf of every human who has ever been touched by you, on behalf of every very wise client who has ever invested in one of your programs. I'm here to tell you that I'm grateful to get to have you in my ears. I'm grateful to get to turn to your audio recordings and trainings when I'm not able to get you on the phone. And I actually dove into your manifestation course last week because I wanted to be reminded about this more holistic view of manifestation that you bring. I think there's a lot of incredible teachers out there that are, trying really hard to bring truth, but they're sugarcoating things.
Absolutely. I want to say one quick thing about that is just to remember that your destiny is not determined by your conditions. It's determined by your character. And your character is determined by your internal habits. And what habits you build are determined by what you're committed to, your values and your vision. And which I hear you talking about that a lot, Sage. And so no matter what the outer conditions, if you're committed to your vision and your deepest values, and you learn how to turn those into subjective habits, into the habits of thinking, feeling, being, and doing, you develop a character that absolutely determines your destiny, regardless of the challenges that you face or will face. That's one of the greatest secrets. Again, because life doesn't happen to you. It happens through and as you. And whatever is missing is what you're not letting out, what you're not generating. And in this program and in this training, I'm going to show you how to take the great vision Sage is giving you and supporting you and building, and develop the practice and the way to absolutely develop a programming, a conditioning of your heart and your mind that puts your success ultimately on autopilot. And then again, you'll take your whole life to a new level, and you won't have to look back again. So I hope you'll take advantage of that, and let me serve and love you alongside Sage.
I think one of the things that Derek's teachings have done for me personally is to get me in touch with the greater truth that every moment in my business is a gift. Figuring out how to get my website up is a gift. Leading my clients when I am premenstrual and have cramps, learning to lead from that place is a gift. And you've helped me to surrender to every moment of gift rather than thinking that there's this bright and shiny object that I'm somehow racing toward. And my whole life has become richer by understanding the principles that you lay out. So thank you for staying so true to what you know deep inside. Because very similarly, Derek, to a lot of women here, you have a very non-traditional gift. It doesn't fit in a box, and nobody taught you how to do this in university. And there's a lot of women here that can relate to that. And day by day, week by week, month by month, you've built this incredible kingdom that's very rooted in divine connection because of what you know and what you're unwilling to abandon or unwilling to sugarcoat. And so thank you for being a stand and an example for every woman here who also has a non-traditional gift of what it looks like to go out there and be yourself and create
let your freak flags fly, ladies.
Derek, thank you so much for being here. I love you with all my heart. Derek, thank you for waking up every morning and committing to be the man you are. You have lifted up my life in more ways than you know.
Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. And I'm sending
brother.
all of my love and blessings to all of you. You're in my heart so deeply.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Love you, brother.
I love you, sister.
Much. And if you got value from this episode, I invite you to hit the subscribe button so that we can get you weekly business trainings in your inbox to help you grow your impact and your income the women's way. Head over into the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood Facebook group and introduce yourself there, because women go so much further when we go together. Just click the button to subscribe, and we will see you on the other side.